Just a minute. What? It's 8:15. All right, then. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, writers, and all my MBs like me. Welcome to the Basics series that I'm doing as part of 20 Books to 50K called That Basic Shit. I'm your friend and emotional support author, Chrishaun Keller-Hanna, and with me is Russell Nohelty, who is not only another friend, my personal emotional support author, and one of the experts in Kickstarter. How you doing, Russ?
I'm doing wonderful. It's lovely to be here. I'm a little tired because we're running our 19th campaign right now, and feel like I've been running campaigns since September straight. But good. I'm good. I'm excited to be here.
All right, then. So as we said in our housekeeping, this is the basics on Kickstarter, what it is, and why writers really should be using it. First of all, what do y'all know about what Kickstarter is? I have a feeling I'm going to be walking around a lot more. Crowdfunding. Well, yes, but what does that mean to you as an author?
Well, if we're going to do this, shouldn't we have a person?
Two.
Thank you. All right, then. I have a feeling that I want to be Phil Donahue today. Okay. Crowdfunding, and what did you say, hon?
Kickstarter is a way to gather funding from your friends and extended family and use the crowdfunding platform to get people who are already on the platform.
All right, then I hear that a whole lot. I keep on hearing that a whole lot, and a lot of people think it's talking to your friends about funding things, but what it really is, in a way, is a platform where people are looking for new and exciting things to go find your new and exciting thing. All right? Does that make sense? Okay, thank you. Right, and I do find that about 50% of the time, well, when I'm doing a campaign, 50% of the folks that we are engaging are new, right?
Yeah, somewhere between 20 and 50, depending on the campaign and how broadly you're expanding it. I think the most important thing to know about Kickstarter specifically, or Indiegogo, is that it's very different from GoFundMe. Most humans know GoFundMe as a way to raise funeral expenses or wedding expenses or vacation expenses or some other thing. The difference with Kickstarter is you are raising money for a product. You must have a product, whether physical or digital, that you are selling during the campaign, and people are pledging to your campaign in exchange for rewards. So a book or an audiobook or a board game or something, or a private chat with you, whatever it is, but it is not raising money without the expectation of getting anything in return, which is very, very different from GoFundMe and every other platform basically that's out there.
Right. And the reason why that we as authors should be looking into Kickstarter a bit more is because it gives such great potential to find out if something that you're working on is hitting with total strangers. Now, you know, this part of your writing journey, and I'm going to assume that we're all somewhere between beginner and mid-list, correct? All right, then. So let's say you want to try something new or something that you're really interested in doing. Oh my God, my words just lost. I just lost my words.
So I was talking about this earlier today, where like so many people do their launch on Amazon or whether it's KU or other platforms, and they're kind of guessing. Even when you're doing advertising and it's working, on some level you are guessing because you do not know exactly who is buying. What you know is who is clicking on your campaign, or on your ad, and going to Amazon or wherever you're directing them, but you don't actually know if those people are buying or like what demographic necessarily is buying, so you're making a lot of guesses. Even the most successful campaigns are guessing a large percentage of the time because, again, you're not seeing the back end. What Kickstarter allows you to do is test your marketing, test your product, and also get an email list of the actual people who are buying your campaign, so you can create custom audiences and lookalike audiences and all sorts of things to improve your marketing. You can test messaging every day throughout the campaign. You can pull things from your page and see if it's converting in email and all of these things so that you get the best By the time you're done with your campaign, whether it is successful or unsuccessful, you can see I used this copy today in my email, and it resulted in these 4 people getting to my campaign and buying. This one got 10 people to buy. This one got 1. So probably this is the best copy to use in my ads or in my marketing for the future. If things are not working, you can change them up throughout your campaign. But of all the things that I think Kickstarter does for an early author or a mid-list author, the thing that they do best is give you a customer list and allow you to process what marketing is working literally directly by how much money it has raised for your campaign through like the 24 to 48 hours after an email or a post on Facebook or whatever, and then pull those ones and like have a good base for when you're running ads later in your other launches.
Yes, it provides a snapshot of the people who would be interested in our project. Swear to God. I had my words that were gone. Thank you for being there. Why don't we start with the components?
Yeah. Okay, so there are five components to a Kickstarter. There's more, but the most important ones are there's 4 elements to a Kickstarter page, and then 1 that you have to think about before you even do any of that stuff. So the first is, and honestly the one that most people ask me about, is about video. Do you need video? The answer is 80% of successful campaigns have a video. So I always say, and about 20% of people that come to your page will watch the video and nothing else before they back. So you're shooting yourself in the foot by not having a video. That being said, I'm going to give you a very, very simple formula for making a video that is successful that you can do on your iPhone and through then through basically PowerPoint and through like very simple editing if you even want to edit. So there's 3 pieces to a campaign. I'm going to give you times of how long each should be and what you should put in each very quickly. So the first is the introduction. The introduction is about 10 to 15 seconds. This is where you say something like, "Hi, my name is Russell Nohelty. I've created all of these books. I'm a USA Today best-selling author, and today I'm here to talk to you about my new campaign, The God's Verse Chronicles." It's very, very simple. Most people ramble through their video, and it does not, like they're 6, 7, 8 minutes long. 15 seconds is about what you have before someone's like, "Oh, that sounds interesting. You look nice. I'll listen to what the pitch is." Part 2 is about 1 minute long. It is the pitch. The God's Verse Chronicles is a world where all gods exist. They're just kind of dicks. And the main characters, 4 main characters, there's a bunch of like main heroines who fight against their fate to like change the destiny that the gods have given them. And it takes place over 4 books, 12 stories, 11 books, whatever the thing is. We've had it's all across whatever the things are, blah, 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 blah. Here's why it's exciting. Done. 60 seconds, 1 minute. There's also the pitch you can then use at conventions or in emails or for the rest of your career about like what the pitch you're going to use to get people excited about that book. So these are one of the things about Kickstarter is you're testing messaging that you're already going to have to create anyway. You are going to have a book pitch. So by doing it in this 60 seconds, you are testing whether it's good, and you can always change the video later. The final part I call the plea, which is, we've raised $10,000 on Kickstarter so far. I've written 8 books. Like, I really love this series because, it deals with death, grief, loss, and like basically in a world with no agency, the women in these books have agency to literally change the destiny of the entire universe. And like people really love that about the books because many people in 2020, 2021 don't feel like they have any agency over their lives. And whatever your pitch is, but like this is when you're saying, not just what the book is, but like why it's important to you. So like this book means so much to me because I hope to see you behind the backer wall. Again, it's another 60 seconds. So you've got 2.5 minutes roughly, between 1 minute and a half and 2.5 minutes. That's all that your video has to be. You can record it on your iPhone. And I do recommend you be on camera for the first and the third part. You don't necessarily have to be, but there are other categories that are a lot slicker. So if you're doing a board game or film, merchandise, drones, like you're gonna have to have a slicker video, but books are about connecting you with the reader. And what they wanna see is, wow, this person looks really cool. They really love the book. I really wanna give it a chance because like they're so passionate about it.
Right, so for
The reason why I enjoyed talking with Wes about this, because I'm almost the exact opposite. I do not have videos in mind, and they have done well. But why do we usually use videos is to give that really short shot introduction of what it is. For me, because I'm already working with folks who are familiar with Shaman States of America, I have to be very careful about having a big, splashy graphic at the very beginning, letting you know that immediately, this is Shaman States of America, this is something new, this is something you need to be a part of, and why. And for that, usually I have these things professionally done, and I talk to my newsletter about this all the time and see which one do they like the best. Then I put it up there because, once again, I'm trying to attract more people like the ones who already read my work. So, yes, you had a question. The Plea.
The Plea. The PLEA. Oh, sorry. They asked what was the third part of the campaign of the video. Where are you going to the second part? Because you just kind of started it, which was the part 2.
Well, not yet. I wanted to talk about why I don't have videos in mine. Because the first thing they were going to do is look at yours and see all these flashy videos, and look at mine and see great graphics and no video.
So I'll say I don't have a video for all of mine, but when you're so I do different kinds of campaigns. Some of them are huge campaigns that I'm looking to get like $30,000. Other campaigns are for literally just fans of the work who already exist in the universe. I'm not trying to get as many new fans. Like, sometimes I don't want anyone who's not already a super fan to buy the book.
Right.
And so I did a 5-day campaign once for a book that I drew, and I was like, I literally don't want people who don't know my work to be their first introduction. So I kept it. So I didn't do a video. I didn't do anything of the stuff. But it was only for really existing fans. And there were some new people. But like, when you're doing something like that, that's a lot more intimate. You don't necessarily have to do a video because these people already know who you are.
All right, then. Now, questions about this section? No questions? Yes, ma'am. What's your name, friend?
Carissa.
Hello, Carissa.
Hi. So Russell just talked a bit about the campaigns he's done, like big campaigns to attract lots of new people versus campaigns to kind of cater to the super fans. When you're in the initial stages of planning a new Kickstarter and thinking about like how you want to approach it, what do you think about when you evaluate which path you want to take and whether a project is a good fit for a Kickstarter at all? And if that's too big of a question, I totally get it.
So I think so I have a book, for instance, we're doing a new audio drama that's coming out on Monday. And like, it's a book that is kind of a niche audience. Like, there's not, it's something that even if I put money into it, like, it's gonna have a high CPC, it's going to like people aren't gonna get it. And I don't know if I want this to be the first book introduction to me as an author. So for those campaigns, I'm like, this is probably not going to attract that many new people. But I have a series called Cthulhu Is Hard to Spell. It's a Lovecraft anthology series, and you can the difference in the reaction you can tell between The Void Calls Us Home and Cthulhu Is Hard to Spell. Like, it's just, I literally put the image of Cthulhu on a thing with like, the new one's like, he's doing like a suplex of like a person in a wrestling ring. And like, that's like an unlimited audience on Kickstarter. So that is the one where like, I can do press, I can do interviews, I can do stuff, and like, and I'm very confident that a random person that hears Cthulhu Is Hard to Spell will come and check it out. Someone hears the name Void Calls Us Home, and it's like a Lovecraftian like audio drama. Just by hearing that pitch, you're like, well, I don't know. Like, look at the reaction. Literally, the difference in the reaction between those two campaigns is how I choose, and how also that depends on how long I do my campaign, because I know that if I do no press, and if I'm just like running a campaign to my audience and my list, like, I can do it for 10 days or 5 days and like get in, get out, get all the money I'm going to get, because they already know, they're already primed. And then, does that make sense?
Let me back up a little bit. It looks like you may be a little farther along in the question. You're asking, you're thinking about a project, should I do it? Right. How do you determine if I should do it? Ask yourself, is this something that, like you said, is indicative of your work when they find you? Is it? If you say yes, you should. The rest of it is just a matter of setting the markers on your goals and everything compared to how much it's going to cost you to do that. My first one was my Cozy Mystery Beauty Bubble, and I put in a whole lot more money than I'm ever going to get back on that. I did a bunch of special things after the Kickstarter because I really enjoyed the people I was engaging with, right? So for me, it wasn't about making money. It was about reaching a lot of people in that space. So tell me later about your project, and when we can go on with that. Yes, they are asking that you wait for the mic.
So I have a question. So I have one book that I just released. It's the start of a new series. And it was sort of like a tester,
Mm-hmm.
you know, to see how the audience would respond.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they responded really well. So I'm thinking, so my question is a Kickstarter something I can do to like jumpstart the rest of the series? So now I have the response from the first book. Can I do something like this to go ahead and catapult the rest of the series and say, hey, the first book is this is what the readers' responses were. Would this be something for
The
that?
answer to that is yes.
Okay.
And I'm going to give you my version of it, and then Russell is going to give you everything else. So the answer to that question is not only yes, but absolutely you should do that, and then find a little plug for my merch, for my merch talk. You should find things that will connect, little pieces of merch that will not only connect them to the work, but allow them to connect to other people that are connected to your work. This is the perfect time to have that book, to catch up, do the Kickstarter for book 2, have a reward as a catch up to book 1, that work in anything else that you've written up until that point, and then something extra like a t-shirt, piece of merch. That makes sense? Russ?
I'm going to add one piece to this because I think, so how many of you are looking to build like an ARC team? Like, so I know it's a big, okay, so like Kickstarter is basically like an ARC team that pays you to be, like they pay you for the privilege to be on your ARC team. Like they are getting the book early. They are able to like I get comments and like little typos and stuff because they're getting the book sometimes months early. Like they are the most enthusiastic fans that I want to interact with for the rest of the series. So I don't really use an ARC team. Like but I do have people that have read the books because they like 300-400 people back a campaign, and I'm able to go to them and be like, so I'm thinking of taking it in this direction for the end, and like you spent $100 on the last campaign, so like can I ask you a question about whether you think that's a cool idea or a terrible idea? And so whenever people ask me about an ARC team, I'm like, why do I need an ARC team? Like literally hundreds of people a year, thousands of people literally pay for the privilege of reading my books early, and I can then go to them and ask questions, and they will excitedly ask me, like tell me what is good or bad about the series. So I think for a series that you plan to do for a long time, so if you had a really good success with the first one, you're like, yeah, I'm going to do 5-10 books in this series, like being able to say, even if you only get 25 or 50 people, to be like, yeah, that's like, these are the 50 people that like I'm going to go like and make sure that I have a true compass north for this series, because they're going to be the ones that buy book 2 and book 3 and book 4 and book 8 and book 10, and if they like it, they've literally paid me a lot of money to keep buying this series, and I want to keep those people happy. Usually with a beta team or an ARC team, they don't only not pay you, but they don't even leave the reviews, or they don't seem to care. They're just getting it for the free book. Mm-hmm. These people are people who very much care for and will be good stewards. Some of them, not all of them. Some of them are just going to say, like, I bought the book, leave me alone. But some of them are going to want to be like very involved, and that is something that you can use to your advantage, and also say, wow, they spent $100 and they want to be involved. Yeah, like they are the real fans of this. Like they are the true fans of this book. And the people that are telling me that things are a problem, they don't even buy the book.
Why don't we go on to the rest of the page?
Okay, so the next one I think is simpler, is imagery. So if a book, any campaign on Kickstarter should have 10 to 15 images associated with it. Now the bad part about being a novelist is like there's not a lot of pictures usually in your book. The good news is to run advertising, you're going to have to find a lot of imagery through deposit photos or book brush or Canva. And so for a Kickstarter campaign, you're going to want to just find your imagery early and lay your mock covers, lay your so I call them like the vibe photos, which is like I have a lot of like women that like look like gods and like are like have like glow in the dark like sparkles on and like things like that as like the imagery for my campaign, because like that is like the vibe of the books, and that's usually what I use for advertising too. Like there's like the mock photo, there's like the mock-ups, which are the ones that always convert the best. And there's also like the vibe ones where like someone may be like on fire, or someone will be like in glow in the dark or something like that. And those are the things that you're going to want to get for imagery.
At best, you're going to want a picture of the book. You're going to want, if you can't think of anything else for these 10 images, image of the book, subheadings in the font, or as close as you can, of the font used on the cover. Those will be your headings, like our story, the book story, the creative team, where your money goes, right? You're going to want an image that shows visually what reward gives what and compares it to other tiers. For instance, my Kickstarters have 3 tiers: digital mail, Happy Mail, book mail. And I show you get the digital versions of these, and then in another column next to it, the Happy Mail gets the digital version plus a few real life items, and the book gets everything and a physical copy of the book. It allows your potential new fans and your potential patrons to look at it at a glance, compare the two, and make the decision, right? A pie graph of your budget, which I think is the next thing we should go into. A pie graph of your budget, so it shows where the money is going, because they really do care about where the money goes after they cut that check. I know I'm old. And then your flavor photographs that Russ was talking about.
Which you can make in BookBrush or Canva or buy from Deposit Photo. If you're going to go to Deposit Photo, they always have an AppSumo deal twice a year where it's like $30 for 100 images. You can get like 10 of them. I get like 3 every time. Really good imagery. For like advertising, I wouldn't use them for covers because like many people have like similar photos, but like they're very good for flavor and it's very cheap. And again, I want to emphasize that these are all things you are going to have to do anyway. You're going to have to find imagery. You're going to have to develop a pitch. You're going to have to like show people why they care about the campaign for the video. Like all of these things are pieces. They're just things that we're doing in the Kickstarter instead of over the course of the next year as you're planning your launch. So the third thing that we want to talk about is budget.
Yes.
Now I have 7 pieces of a budget.
Right. Before we get into that, though, the reason why I wanted to get into the budget, because setting that goal is one of the most important things to ensuring that it funds, right? Number one. And number 2, we only got 20 minutes, and I bet all of y'all got budget questions, right? All of y'all got goal questions, right? All right, 7 things, go.
All right. 1, production. How much it will cost to get the book from written and to the point that you are ready to ship it. It does not include shipping or like distribution or any of that stuff. It is just how much it costs to edit, proofread, arc, whatever the pieces cover to get the book ready to go. 2 is printing. Now, this is the part that like you have to go to Ingram Spark or Kablam or wherever you're going to do your printing with, and how much it's going to cost to get the book printed and shipped to you. Because like sometimes it'll cost $4 for a book and then $2 for shipping, and that's not a $3 book, a $4 book, that's a $6 book. Like that is the budget piece. How many copies are you going to print? You don't know that, if you don't know that up front, I say like 100 is a good number to estimate, or 50 or 60. I like to get enough of how many backers I think I'm going to get, plus 1 additional box for like shows and other things.
I just set mine to either 50 or 100, and I just say, this is all I'm going to make. It makes budgeting a lot easier for me. But on the other hand, it also reduces or it stops how much I'll be able to make during any given campaign.
3, supplies. So these are the pieces that you need to ship. It's not shipping. Shipping's a whole nother thing. So that includes Gemini mailers or the mailers. It includes bubble mailers. It includes tape and the
Filler.
labels, ink on your computer, all of those pieces, and they are not. It's not necessary. It's not a cheap budget item.
And not only is it not a cheap budget item, but it can give you incredible budget creep if you're not careful, right? Getting a bunch of filler is expensive, and mailers are expensive, right? And if you're not prepared for it, all of a sudden you've just spent $300, and you're like, what?
Yeah, I will say for my campaigns, it's about $300 to $500 in just supplies because I want them to arrive nice.
Yes.
I want them to arrive and people open it and have a good experience. Because this is, at the end of the day, if you get nothing else from this, it is about giving a good experience to readers and a personalized experience to people who like your work so they become more and more and more rabid fans over time.
Yes.
The first campaign is very annoying, I admit it, but if you continue going forward, you're going to get more and more rabid fans who love your work over time. And so that is why shipping, getting Gemini mailers or getting book boxes or like making it look nice, getting personalized shipping packages or
That's
whatever
me.
that thing is. That also would include, where would you put like candles or other pieces? Like what piece of this would it be going to production?
I
or
will
like
put that
supplies?
into production because those are the things that you're giving them.
Yeah.
So I did a beauty bubble box for my cozy mystery and included 2 bars of soap and 2 wax melts, an enamel pen, and then a postcard for another story that also had a pen. It was a lot. Like I said, I spent a lot of time, a lot of money on it. But all of that costs something, and you have to put that in there. Your time, however, is something different and something else you should also factor into this goal because you're not working for free-ish.
Yeah, so that's I have a contingency part of my budget. I will admit how I do this is after I finish my budget, I put a 10% or 15% contingency, and my reward for getting everything under budget is I get that 15% or whatever the extra remains of the contingency that is left. We did not put contingency in this budget, but you need to put like a 10% to 15% contingency in your budget, which is once you add up everything. Let's say it costs $500. You add $50 because there's going to be something along the way that like goes wrong. And if it doesn't go wrong, it means you're a real good planner and you get to keep that extra money and give yourself a froyo or go out to eat or get a tattoo, which is what I got for which is what I'm getting next week for my last campaign.
I always go over budget. All right, then. So we have that.
So we didn't do. So next would be shipping.
Yeah, let's do that, but let's keep that quick.
Yeah. So shipping. You need to figure out how your shipping is going to be. If you ship just books, you can use media mail. If you ship books and pins and other stuff, you can't put those in media mail. So you need to do priority or some other kind of mailing. And then international shipping is real expensive. Here's my rule of international shipping. Your backers are big boys and girls, or agendered humans. If they want to spend $40 or $50 or $70 or $80 to ship international, that is their deal. I'm always going to offer it, but it is always going to be the cost of what it is, which is a minimum of $40 and sometimes $200 for shipping.
Do not be afraid to sit up there and say that it costs this much for shipping. If they know that they want your stuff, they also know that shipping is involved. Do not be afraid to sit there and add
And
that.
they will complain, and the answer to that is always, I am sorry, I wish I could do this for free, I cannot. I like for domestic shipping to include it in the price, which is why the shipping starts at like $25 for me. For a book, that's $20 for the book, $5 for shipping, including supplies and all of that stuff. I don't like to say if you're to pledge and then have you can either include it in the cost or like had an add-on of like $5 or whatever the cost is. I prefer to just make it easy. If it's domestic, it's all included in the price. I put domestic shipping included, and then like that's it. If it's international, I go and find how much it costs internationally by going to the UPS website, and then boom, it's done.
Right, and the reason why we're talking about shipping and then tax and fees last, because these are the things that are the biggest Kickstarter killers. Yeah. Shipping for 100 boxes, roughly at $5 each, is how much? Exactly. That is a big old hunk of it, and you want to make sure that you have that covered, or else you don't make a profit. The second thing is taxes. How much in taxes does the government want of money you get on Kickstarter? I love how you think. That wasn't right, but I love how you think. Yes, they do want all of it, but how much are they going to get?
They're going to get a graduated
No,
amount.
30%.
And here's a big thing about taxes. There's a thing in America, if you're an American person, called carryover inventory. You cannot write off books and material you have at the end of the year. So if you have 100 books left, and out of 200 books, you only can write off the cost of the 100 books that you sold, and the other 100 books cannot be written off until after you sell them. So it is a really annoying part of the United States tax code, and you could get really screwed by having to, because you have to pay taxes on all the money you get, minus the money that went out, because you get to write that part off. Yes. But you cannot write off all of the shipping and materials that you get unless you have sold them all. Yes. So like I have 7,000 books in my garage, and some of which I have had in my garage since 2015, which I have not paid off, which I have not been able to write off on taxes. So you have to put that into consideration too.
And that's why I only keep my books limited to about 100, enough that I know I can sell, so I can write all that stuff off because fuck taxes. Yeah. Okay, fees.
Yes, and then fees are so Kickstarter takes 5% of fees, and you pay about 3% to 5%, depending on whether it's a MasterCard or a Visa, in fees for in Stripe or like credit card fees. So it's roughly 10% is what I budget for fees that Kickstarter takes.
All right then. Are we ready?
Well, we did
yeah. Now we're ready for questions. Yes, he did have a question. You had a question. I told you to wait. Do you not have a question now? Okay, cool. Yes, ma'am. Wait for the mic, darling. What's your name, friend?
How do you best take advantage of receiving a projects we love?
I beg your pardon?
How do you best take advantage of receiving a projects we love?
So the tag projects we love.
I'm doing a Kickstarter right now. And
oh, how do you?
So you got a project we love tag, and Kickstarter puts that in another category that you can search through. I'm gonna be honest, like I post about it one time and say, hey, we're a project we love, woohoo, and that's all I.
It helps with searchability. That's pretty much it.
There's with searchability and discovery, and it helps people legitimacy. But like I don't see a ton of return of how to like it doesn't help that much. It doesn't help that much overall, frankly. It helps maybe get like 3 to 5% more in your campaign, but that almost all comes from the discoverability of people searching the project we love tag.
And it does it feels like a hug when they sit up there and they mark my stuff, projects we love, but other than that, it really doesn't do all that much other than help with the searchability within there.
So it's similar to like an Amazon bestseller tag. Like all it does is show like, hey, I sold enough books to get a little green tag.
Anybody else have questions? Because we're running out of time. Oh, in the back? Run.
That's okay, I can
What's your name?
Emily, nice to meet you.
Hey.
I can talk fast. So I was once told that before Kickstarter even launches, it's a good thing to have at least half of your funding verbally committed, and I wanted to know, this was not by an author, so I wanted to know what you guys thought about that, and if you think that's a good thing, how you would go about that.
I don't know about verbally committed. That sounds very nonfiction, but I make sure that the people who know I'm doing it at Kickstarter, I am lousy with that information. I'm just like, I tell folks all the time. You do that too, telling folks about it, but not necessarily having them commit to any money.
Yeah, so it is like, so Kickstarter has a pre-launch page, and so once you have your project approved, you can set up your pre-launch page and start getting people to basically go to that page and click notify me at launch. And I like to get at least 100 people to like hit notify me at launch, and that will lead to roughly $5,000. Like every 100 for me leads to about $5,000. That's a colloquial me thing. Some people can get 100 and get $30,000, like our friend RJ. Some people will get 100 and get like $500. Like it really depends. But it is your job before the campaign to get people excited about what they're going to see. And so it may not be verbally committing, but it is. I spend a month before a campaign each week talking about something cool that's coming. The first week, I just say, hey, we're launching this cool thing, and here's why it's cool. The second week, I go into a little bit more detail about why it's special to me. The third week, I talk about, I finish the campaign build, and I send it out, and I say, hey, can you help me? I'd like just find typos or make sure that like this makes sense. And like people do respond and be like, yes, this makes sense, this doesn't make sense, like I hate it, I love it. And then the final week, I open up to like, here's the cool perks that are only going to be available at the very beginning of the campaign. Get excited, get hyped, get ready to back really early. And throughout that course, I get somewhere between 25 and 50 people committing, like hitting notify me every week when I send that email and do my marketing launches. So that is how I judge success. I know if I get 200, which is usually my goal, I'll get somewhere between $10,000 and $30,000 for that campaign. And so I don't do verbally committing because that feels like that feels like work.
Yeah.
Like, that feels like a lot of work to be like, to message all the people who are on my email list and be like, are you gonna give me $10? You gonna give me $10? Like I have 20,000 people or 30,000 people I reach out to at the beginning of a campaign. That's a lot of touch points. But I do judge by the notify me, the pre-launch page that you set up, whether it's going to be like how successful it's going to be.
All right, then. Anybody else? Oh, now you have a question.
And before you ask, my name is James.
Hey.
So concerning when you've got the different levels that you're setting out, the $5, the $10, the $25, what kind of swag do you normally incorporate? Because I'm planning on doing a audiobook Kickstarter.
That's the part. That's the part we didn't put it yet. That's awesome. That's how we can end. We didn't do that part yet.
We only have 3 minutes. So.
Okay, so $1. Something cool. It can be an outline for your book. It can be, I do paper toys. I do all sorts of cool.
Digital.
But it should be something that is not just special. Thanks. The reason is the hardest sale to make is to get someone from going to $0 to $1. A $1 backer can become a $100 backer. If you're not actually paying any money, like it's very hard to get someone to spend even $1. Yeah. So something that is like interesting and unique to the campaign.
And digital.
And digital. So something in your like back. $10 or between $5 and $10 is where I put like the digital book. But I have something cool at $10 almost always. So that could be audio commentary. It can be like a deluxe version of the book. So if you sell your books usually for $5, you can like do for $10, like add extra scenes or add like the first draft of the book or something like the deluxe for $10. $25 is the average pledge on Kickstarter.
Yes.
So that's where I put the book, like the actual book. Or the audiobook. I would recommend not doing an audiobook campaign and doing a special edition hardcover and audiobook campaign because audio is not.
Audio really doesn't do anything because it is digital and it's seen at Kickstarter to be a lower tier reward in and of itself. So having something.
And just the people on Kickstarter, like they prefer
hard copies.
They're there for print. Like that's the main thing. So the audio drama we're doing is like a hardcover special edition book and audio drama, both together.
And what he's doing works best if you have a lot of tiers. I have 3, once again. So I put my print as the biggest tier, which is $50, right? And then anything like stickers, anything that costs under $20 retail, I usually put in the middle tier.
Like merch stuff.
Like my enamel
and then
pins.
digital stuff.
Yes, badges, enamel pins, stickers, any replicas of anything in the stories.
So I'm similar, except like my $50 tier is a special thanks in the book, and everything above that is like for super fans. So like for $75, maybe you get a Tuckerization, which is being written as a minor character into the book. For $250, maybe I'll. When I first was doing campaigns, I would do like a short story. So I did a mystery novel, and like one of the tiers for I think $300 or $250 was like I'll write a 1,000-word book where like you're either the detectives with the main characters, you're the bad guy, or like you're the dead person, and we'll go into your backstory and stuff. And like that was pretty successful. I think I got like 2 or 3 people at that tier, which doesn't seem like a lot, but that's almost $1,000. And these are the things that are really the best part about Kickstarter, because you cannot go on Amazon and be like, give me $250 and I'll write a story for you. So these are the unique pieces of a Kickstarter that you can do. If you're doing audio, one of my favorite parts of audio is doing audio commentary, which is I will flip through the book and say, go to page 37, like, here's the story of this one. Go to page 58, here's the story of this one, and I'll go through the book in that manner, just like someone's watching a director commentary.
All right, then take your breath. Because we're trying to get it, because we're looking at this timer, and I will tell you, I'm about that time. All right, so with that, are you giving me a 5-minute notice? Thank you.
So we have time for a couple more questions then. If people have questions, we have 5 more minutes.
No, we don't have 5 more minutes. We're wrapping things up.
What they said. There's 5 more minutes left. There's a 5-minute question period.
You said, Chrishaun, you had 3 levels, so it's 20, 50, and what's your lowest one?
My lowest one, I'm sorry, 35, is the $15. 15, 35, and 50. 15, 35, and 50. And for 15, they get what's called a digital package. I usually have wallpapers with insignia that is exclusive or related to the story. I give them Caramel Sugar Evil, which is the in-universe and real-life merch store that I have. I give them some Caramel Sugar Evil branded for that campaign. I give them the digital copy of the book, digital copy of a short story that is related, like a character profile or something along that line, and then maybe a few other things. At the $30 level, that's Happy Mail. $30, $35 mail, that's Happy Mail. They get a postcard with an image made for the book, but not the cover. Do not put your cover on shit. That also has a QR code for a free copy of the book. That way they can send it to somebody, right? It has stickers. It has enamel pins. Sometimes it has a coloring page, like a physical coloring page, all right? And then the last one is the book box, is everything and a book. And if I gave choices in enamel pins in the Happy Mail, they get all of them in this book box. And it's very simple. It allows me to expand things. Like this time, I have 3 minutes left in this talk. And this time, I'm building a board game. So I can add expansion packs. There is always something that I can put in on the last 2 levels that make it more enticing, and I can change it up. That's what I do. And I keep it simple because I don't like math and I don't like complications.
So there's one more piece of this, and then I'll do like the final pitch for the thing that I'm doing now, which is like early bird perks and perks that you're going to get every week, which is like before you do a campaign, you should think about, like I reach out to people like Chrishaun and others to like build like digital bundles of books that I give people who back early, or like back by week 2 or week 3 or week 4. And it's always good to set those up. For a book campaign, I do somewhere between 10 and 30 books throughout the course of the campaign that people get as like, hey, you're gonna buy this, you can buy this $5 in 6 months, or you can spend it for $5 now and also get all of this other stuff. If you want to learn more, we have I have a panel with Monica Leonel tomorrow at 10:45 where we're going to do the advanced set of this in, someone said the gold silver room, like one of the main rooms, not the main room, but like the second main room. If you want to learn more about Kickstarter altogether, Monica Leonel and I have written a book called Get Your Book Selling on Kickstarter, which is on Kickstarter now at kickstarternovel.com. It is $10 for the ebook and $100 to do our Sprint With Us tier, where you're going to be in a private Facebook group with all of us. And I'm going to take you step by step through every step of through the campaign. Then we're all going to launch campaigns together. You'll have access to our private, my private promotion group, where you can pick out like books to put into your own like campaigns and X, Y, and Z stuff. That's at kickstartyournovel.com. Yes.
And if you want to learn more about making merchandise for your books, and we're not just talking about koozies and pins and stuff. We're talking about stuff that people will want and will want to share. Then we are doing 2. I'm doing a series of 2. This afternoon we're going to do merch for authors. Yeah, we're both doing merch for authors.
Yeah, so we'll be doing merch for authors
But I want to finish my thought. Thank you. And then we're doing world building for merch, world building with merchandise in mind, to help you think about how to build products in universe for your characters, and then as an extension for your readers, right? We're going to be doing that. Any other places?
Yeah, so if you have other questions or you want pins, I'm just going to walk right outside, right into the main area, and like we can talk and chit-chat for until I fall down because I'm so tired.
And you're going to want to do that. And our time is up. That 5 minutes was the buffer. Thank you so much.